Get ready at your leisure, fans, because my friend Mark Yardley and I are headed out for warmer weather as he takes me to a gun range to try our hand at some very unique sporting clays. Then, Rhea and I are headed back up to Montana to get down to the brass tacks and mud of a new kind of exploring. We're going to live the prospector's life. Finally, Reece is going to show us a behind-the-scenes look at one of the greatest engineering achievements of the 20th century. At Your Leisure is sailing your way next. You know, Mark, I feel like I should have Olympic scorecards here. 9, 8.5. Ah, hit the ground. Hi, everybody. Welcome to At Your Leisure. I'm Chad Booth. Joining me today for the show is Mark Yardley, our friend from Eagles Landing. And, you know, Mark was telling me about this really cool gun club that he used to go 2 years ago. And strangely enough, it's still open today. It's called Smoking Gun, and it's just outside Mesquite, Nevada, across the Arizona border.
Yeah, great place. It used to be called the Oasis Gun Club years ago. We used to come here. It's been 20 years since I've been out here, but we've had a lot of fun. Great place, many good times.
So they offer all kinds of different target practice, from pistols to trap to skeet to 5-station. We're going to just take a look and see what kind of things are available to you when you come down here.
Here at the Smoking Gun, we have sporting clays, trap, skeet, ZZ bird shooting, and pistols. We actually have several different corporate shoots, Ducks Unlimited, that come down here every year. And on those days, we're running 200, 250 people through the gun club. We used to come down here. It's what brought my family to Mesquite to begin with, was the gun club. And of course the Mesquite motocross track. My kids raced, and we all shot. And so it was a perfect location for us to come during the winter time. Little vacation, spend 2-3 days down here, and we always had a blast. It was closed. There was some hard times for the casinos, and they closed this portion of their company. Which is the motocross track and the gun club. And in doing that, I think it was closed for about 4.5 years before we purchased it and then started cleaning up. The Oasis Gun Club, when it was the Oasis, was one of the more popular gun clubs in the country, which still today, I don't think you can go to any other gun club and not find people who have shot here. The activities in town are gambling, golfing, and razor riding. You know, that's one of the unique things about this place is our property. You can park at our property, unload, and go all the way to the Grand Canyon and back from here. There's hundreds of miles of riding up in these hills and out in the desert.
Ooh. Mark, that looks a little harder than what they were doing before.
Yes, skeet shooting's definitely more challenging than trap shooting. You got the side-to-side going instead of the straightaway.
Well, what I've learned a lot about trap and skeet, obviously that they're two different sports, but what I didn't know is that you don't just have one shotgun for everything. They're kind of specialized now.
You need almost a different shotgun for every sport out here. And a lot of that depends on the patterns that you want, how close the targets are, how far away from the yards, depending on the choke that you're going to want to run.
Well, we're going to get out and try our hand at it. He's rusty. I'm inexperienced. We're going to do that when we come back after our break. Right now, it's time for us to go to our Where To adventure. You know, there are a lot of iconic things about living in the West. Going out hunting birds with your shotgun is one of them. But another one is gold panning, as Rhea and I found out recently on a trip to Montana. Woo. Whoops, I'm so excited I almost fell over. We are going prospecting for gold. Now, this is not any tourist trap, you know, get some little pieces of iron pyrite, you think you're excited. We're out with a prospector named John Berriman, and you sign up for his class, $150, a whole day. He'll take you out, give you lunch, and teach you how to actually pan for gold. And he made me a promise. He said, when you set up, you go out with me for a day, you'll get gold. So we are up in a stream in Montana, and we're about to learn how to set up panning and sluice box and get some gold.
And I can't wait, because when we get that gold, we're going to get ourselves a brand new car.
The dream of striking it rich has always pushed man to take risks, whether the dream is a new car or a castle. But with the art of gold panning almost lost to the ages, treasure in this vein may not be measured in nuggets, but rather in knowledge.
Oh, because there's a lot of gold miners around here, but I couldn't get none of them to teach me. So I go to the library, and I got every book I could possibly get. I would have probably paid $1,000 for somebody to teach me back then, instead of me doing all of the reading. I'll teach you what to look for, the different colors in the soil. That makes a lot of the difference. Redder the soil is better. Always remember, redder is better.
John also claims that success in gold panning lies as much in shape as it does in shade. It's important to know how the bends in a river will point to where the banks are infused with gold.
Gold is always trying to get out of the force of the water and to hide.
Right.
So it is shoved into the bank here, and it dropped off where the curve goes around on the backside of that bank.
With a careful eye, John picks his spot, moving the bigger rocks by hand and the gravel below by shovel. Shovel after shovel, overburden slowly gains a coral hue, pay dirt. That is the cue to start sifting. With a pan full of water, gravel and soils are separated by a spinning motion, reminiscent of an old washing machine. The finer material falls to the bottom of the pan. The gravel remains, but before the scrapple is tossed, best to check it well.
You always scratch around. Look in the bottom. You could have a sapphire in the bottom, or if that nugget won't go through there, by golly, it's big enough it'll jump out at you like a neon light bulb.
Sure.
And so always check your gravel before you throw them out.
Okay.
With a little more than silt left over in the pan, the tedious task of panning begins. This is where the impatient fail and the prospectors sail. With a samba-like swaying motion, water and chaff gently spill over the edge, leaving all but the smallest and heaviest items in the bottom. With a little bit of luck and about 20 minutes of time, John strikes pay dirt.
Right here, you got several specks of gold.
Yep. They're specks. They're awesome.
All them specks add up. The gold will not go out of that bottle. Make sure water is over it, and you turn that loose and suck up your gold.
Now, lest you think that this is all there is to panning, a new technology emerges. The dirt that is proven to bear gold is moved to a sluice box where Mother Nature and a healthy current will do the work for you. John explains that once you know where to find that pay dirt, sending your material through the cascade of a sluice box is a much faster method.
Yeah, there it starts coming over to the next section.
This is doing all that panning for you.
Isn't that nice?
So, like I said, once you've done your testing, find where you're getting the most gold in your trip. You put your gold pans down, your classifier in your bucket, you classify it down so you're not putting big rocks. Big rocks will bounce through there and hit your gold, knock your gold loose. So you get it down closer to your size of gold, and you'll recover a lot more gold this way.
So this is really scientific. You got to know what kind of ore you're looking for. You got to know how to read a stream so you know where it will be forced. And John explains not only where those places are, but why the gold gets there. And he would actually prefer to have you bring your own materials or your own equipment up so he can show you how to use your own sluice box. But if you want to buy it from him, he's got it. Now, $150 for a day's training, that's a pretty good deal. And you say, well, is it worth it at the end of the day? I'd say absolutely, but it's hard work.
Hi, I'm Nolan Stedman.
And I'm Bruce Stedman.
We've been selling motorcycles like this since 1960.
Motorcycle has been part of our family forever.
We love riding and enjoying the outdoors, everything that Utah has to offer. Riding motorcycles, snowmobiles, ATVs, and now side-by-sides. That's what we do, it's who we are.
Stedman's Recreation in Tooele. We've been proudly serving Utah's families for over 50 years.
Stedman's Recreation in Tooele. You may think it's 300 miles out there, but remember, it's only 30 back.
Wide open terrain, a full tank of gas, and someone to share it with. Perfect conditions to showcase our first ever Talon 1000R. From Honda, standing at nearly 69 inches wide, it's built for speed over rugged terrain. From rock crawl ravines to dry lake beds, dunes, and the miles of trail connecting them all. That's how life is better side by side. In the all-new Talon 1000R. From Honda.
My daughter and I had just finished a run at this place called Eagle Point. It's this really cool but kind of challenging ski resort that has a real family feel to it. She was so excited because she beat me down the run. Deja vu. I saw myself as a kid out skiing my mom. It was a big moment for me. And all of a sudden it hit me. I was making the same memories for her.
Beaver County, Utah. Make it more than a vacation.
This week's What's New segment is brought to you by TuneX of South Jordan and West Valley. More than just tune-ups, we're off-road.
Welcome back to At Your Leisure. I am Curt Miles with Slick Rock Productions, and this is Jake Anderson. So we had a great opportunity to come down to Sand Hollow for Honda with At Your Leisure and check out the new release of the new Talons. We got an X and an R. We were able to go out, spend some time out there today. We did some dune riding, we did some rallying, we did some rock crawling. And today we're gonna focus specifically on the R. So the R is set up with a little bigger stance. It's got longer trailing arms on it. It's got 2.5 Fox shocks on it. It's set up a little bit more like a dune car, a little bit more like a trophy truck. And the things I really liked about this car, the things that stood out to me, is the steering is really responsive. Right. It holds a turn really well. You can really predict the car. When you're going through jumps and rebound, you're coming off the whoops, it just translates through the car really well. It's just a nimble car. The brakes are phenomenal on it. You can really dive into a turn and have some control. The differential setup, this is a really unique differential that Honda's come up with. And so if you have a wheel that slows down, it actually stops that wheel in motion and transfers power. So if you're rock crawling and you got a wheel come off the ground, instead of having a free wheel spin where it's coming down hard and getting into an axle and doing some damage, the computer senses that and stops it. And so it's got actual wheel speed sensors, which is new to this industry, which is a really cool revolutionary design that I like. The cockpit felt really good. Right, didn't get jounced around. I mean, it's just got a really good fit and finish inside of it. There's two platforms on the passenger side, so both of your feet can stay stationary, so you can put a little weight up against the back of the seat if you're in some rugged terrain, and that's a good feeling.
It is. It's nice to have that 4 points of contact as you're sitting as a passenger.
Right, right. And in most machines, I haven't been in a machine that's done that before, and it just has a different feel for a passenger. And you guys know if your partner that's riding with you is enjoying the ride, you're going to be out riding longer, and I like that.
So true.
Oh, the car itself is a phenomenal piece. I'm really impressed with it. We were really excited when this came out. The only drawback I found to it, it feels a little bit underpowered, but it also has something that makes up for that. Let's talk about the transmission. The transmission in this has an automatic mode like any other vehicle does, but you can manually shift it, so you can utilize all the horsepower in the vehicle. So although I personally feel like it's a little bit underpowered, you can really maximize your RPM level when you're climbing and when you're playing around with that transmission. Right. And I think that's a really cool thing in this car. And I believe there's going to be a good marketplace for this.
Of course, they're Hondas. So.
No, it's a Honda. And we all know what Honda's known for: reliability, dependability. We know they make a good product. We're excited to see how the aftermarket world picks up on this. That's what we do. Slick Rock Productions builds cars. We do a lot of aftermarket parts. We have a lot of companies out there we do business with. And if the aftermarket world grabs onto this, it is going to be a fun game changer for sure.
This is Curt. I'm Jake with Slick Rock Productions, and we'll be right back with more from At Your Leisure.
Wide open terrain, a full tank of gas, and someone to share it with. Perfect conditions to showcase our first ever Talon 1000R. From Honda, standing at nearly 69 inches wide, it's built for speed over rugged terrain. From rock crawl ravines to dry lake beds, dunes, and the miles of trail connecting them all. That's how life is better side by side. In the all-new Talon 1000R. From Honda.
Kawasaki Mule side-by-sides are some of the toughest machines around. Work hard or play hard. With the new Mule Pro MX, you don't have to choose. It's about having the right machine to fit the way you live. And it's about strength. The all-new Mule Pro MX, the strongest, because I said so.
That Ski-Doo feeling presents the ultimate freedom. Introducing the 2020 Ski-Doo Deep Snow Sleds. The Ski-Doo sales event is on now. Visit your local dealer for details.
Come to the Ski-Doo Sneak Peek event at Weller's Recreation in Camas, March 30th, 1 to 5 p.m.
You know, when you fly, you get your wings. When you shoot, you clip the wings. Welcome back to At Your Leisure. We're down here at the Smoke and Gun Club just outside of Mesquite. I'm talking to Jason Shaw, who manages and just kind of runs the facility down here.
Yep.
How'd you come up with the name?
Well, the family just come up with some different names, wrote them all down, threw them in a hat. That's the one we picked out. Pretty simple.
Pretty simple. This is actually kind of cool because you've got some natural hunting-like terrain that the clays come out of. Is this a big draw down here?
It is, yeah. Yeah, sporting clays is a huge draw for most shooters. And then we also have ZZ bird shooting when it's open.
Okay, now you know that I had to ask you a few minutes ago what ZZ bird was. Can you explain that real quick?
ZZ bird shooting was designed to simulate live pigeon shooting. And since there's a lot of people in the country who don't like shooting live pigeons, they designed a clay that sets in a machine that has propeller-style wings that turns, when you turn it on, they're spinning at a high RPM, and when you call pull, the machines release one of the birds.
So it's kind of like shooting a drone.
Very similar, yeah, yeah.
So how'd you do?
Oh, not too bad.
All right.
Did a few, might have scared a bird or
scared
two. We were in the life. It was fun, awesome.
Good. Well, we're going to break away from here right now. To our Along the Way, we're going to join up with Reece Stein, who is discovering that canal travel is really kind of cool.
I'm Reece Stein, at your leisure, along the way in one of the great engineering marvels of the 20th century, or any century for that matter, the one and only Panama Canal.
The heart races at the approach to its entrance. This isn't just a canal, it's the Panama Canal, that man-made gash that separates two continents but links two hemispheres.
I was excited. I was in awe about watching everything work and watching the ships go through, watching us go through, and it was just amazing.
It's one of those once-in-a-lifetime bucket list experiences, watching the massive gates gradually swing open and closed, and millions of gallons of water flooding the chambers, gently lifting mammoth ships 85 feet through two sets of locks so ships can cross mid-continent mountains. Each set of locks is paired, allowing for twice as many ships. The French started building the canal in 1881, but went broke 8 years later. The U.S. took over in 1904 and finished the canal in 1914. Our cruise liner barely squeezes through the 110-foot wide locks. Small locomotives called mules are tethered to the ship by steel cables to keep the vessel from bouncing off the lock walls. 3 years ago, much larger locks opened alongside the original, allowing for mega cargo ships, half again as wide. We cruise under the soaring Centennial Bridge, carrying the Pan American Highway from Alaska to Tierra del Fuego and into the 8-mile-long Culebra Cut through the Continental Divide. This channel appears tranquil enough, but it took 6,000 men using drills, dynamite, and huge steam shovels 11 years to plow through. 100 million cubic yards of dirt and rock were hauled away, leaving terrace slopes where landslides continually plague the excavation.
It's such a massive operation, I had no idea. Even though it's 100 years old, the engineering feat alone is just amazing.
In 1913, Lake Gatun in the middle of Panama was the world's largest man-made lake, backed up behind the world's largest dam.
The tree-lined shores and tiny islets play witness to the comings and goings of all kinds of canal vessels. The islands host an array of critters, including this spider monkey that puts on quite a show at our passing. The three-toed sloth is common here, and since they move like, well, sloths, give us quite a photo op, as does this small anteater. The snail kite is a newcomer here, just one of hundreds of kinds of birds. On the Caribbean side, the Gatun locks lowered us back down to sea level. It's astounding to think that the technology used today has changed little since the locks were installed 115 years ago.
I've been through many locks all over the world, and seeing these great big ships go through the locks is amazing.
Our 50-mile-long transit ends on the Atlantic side near the port of Cologne, named for Christopher Columbus, who, when he passed by here in 1502, couldn't have imagined anything like this.
Reece Stein at your leisure along the way on the Atlantic side of the Panama Canal.
Springtime is the time to buy a new Polaris. Right now, the world's best-selling off-road lineup is priced to move. Get more done with a hard-working Ranger, chase adventure on a legendary Sportsman, or live wide open in a high-performance RZR. Rebates up to $1,500 are available now during the Polaris Spring Sales Event.
There's a little place on a Utah map where I was raised, where my heart's at, where the sagebrush grows wild and high, and the stars come out at night. Oh, there ain't nothing like being raised in the basin with a Ute reservation, skiing starvation, that Duchesne County life.
It's Toy Hauler Month at Paris RV. Here's 5 killer 2019 deals this month. Pick up the 2019 Powerlade 1915, the 2019 Attitude 19FB, the 2019 Iconic 1913, the 2019 Sandsport 1915, or the 2019 Cruise Light 211 SSXL. All for $24,995 or $265 a month, 0 down. Lower the ramp and kick the tires.
Paris RV is Utah's #1 volume toy hauler dealer.
I got to tell you, Mark, I've come to the conclusion you're like a pool player. We show up here and he's saying, I haven't shot in 20 years, but they're like 4 guys, a couple of them regulars, and you hit more than anybody else. So you're either really good or you're pulling our leg.
You know what? I think that's a little bit of luck. Probably. It's been a while. I shot a lot growing up. So.
Welcome back to At Your Leisure. I'm down here with Mark Yardley in Mesquite, not too far away from the Eagles Landing. And we've been over at Smoking Gun today, and I've had a smoking good time.
Oh, it's been an awesome time, and a very good smoking time. The guys down here are awesome. They put on a great time today. Yeah. The birds are amazing. I can't believe how tough this pipe stand is. It can be made to the point where you can't hit a bird.
Well, yeah. No, I couldn't hit a bird. You hit quite a few of them.
Well, I was lucky.
So what was your favorite pull out of here?
You know what? I liked actually my last one where he had the 2 and the 4. The one that was hard and then straight up. The straight up one was a fun one.
That straight up one, I think that's the one that I actually hit.
And you made a great shot on that one. And that's a tough shot. The time you want to catch that one's right when it hits the top.
Well, if you've never tried this before, this is a great place to start. You can come down to Mesquite. You can have a fun weekend of everything, and then you can include some of this gun range time. Maybe go rent an ATV and...
exactly, top it off with the trail ride. That's what I want to do right now.
Well, there you go. I just happen to know this guy named Josh Wilson real close to here. We can probably make that happen.
I'd like to do that.
All right, right now, though, it's time for us to take a look at our weekly contest winner.
Okay, this week's contest winner was submitted to us on Facebook by Joel Cruz, license plate Cruiser. Congratulations, Joel. You're the winner of a brand new Mountain Series stove from Camp Chef. Now, these are the great little stoves that get you cooking good in the mountainside. And you're also going to win a bonus $100 gas and gift card to Eagles Landing Travel Plazas. Be sure to fill up your rig with Clear 91 ethanol-free fuel, and you'll also want to be sure to call us at 801-947-8888 to claim your prizes. Now, off to our calendar of events. This is for those people who are pouting because winter will soon be over. We've got something to cheer you up, a sneak peek at the 2020 Skidoos. It'll be taking place at Weller Recreation on March 30th from 1 to 5 at their annual sneak peek customer appreciation event. Come on up, check the new machines out. We'll be there. We also want to tell you that Weller's just won the Skidoo Dealer of the Year award, so come by and see him for this big event. Now, it's time for us to take a look at next week's show. Next week, we're going behind the scenes at an exclusive event called RVX. This is a gathering of the latest and greatest, the biggest and boldest in the RV industry. We'll be taking a peek at the things you probably won't see until next year. Then Brett and Dory Paris are going to make us see red as they guide us through a hiking adventure in the Nevada desert. Finally, we catch up with some of the biggest unsung heroes in the state as they tell us just what it takes to be a member of Search and Rescue.
Okay, I'm taking your word for it.
Okay.
I'm going to really be happy with this ethanol-free premium.
I promise you. So far, everything I've tried it in, it's worked. So I hope it does for you.
Looks like next week's show is going to be great. We had a good time down here today, and of course, just before I point north and head back into Utah, figured I'd stop over here at Eagles Landing and get some of Mark's 91 octane premium ethanol free.
Real gasoline.
Real
the best in the West, guaranteed.
There you go. Hey, I certainly had fun with you today.
Oh.
Thanks for showing me around Mesquite.
You know what? I can't thank you enough, my friend. I've had a wonderful time today. I can't believe I didn't think I could even hit a target.
I was going to say, he had a wonderful day. He skunked all the rest of it. So anyway, like they say, oh, by the way, just this is a note you need to make. If you're coming from Salt Lake, do not put this into Google Maps because you'll end up seeing the gun range, but you'll be on a barricaded road that says no trespassing and guns pointed at. Well, I don't know if there are guns pointed at you. But anyway, so
if you need any help when you get here, just stop in at our station. We'll give you directions to the gun club. What a great experience and a fun time today.
So if you can navigate to the Palms Golf Course from Mesquite, I guess that's the secret, right?
Yes.
And
we can get you there from here.
There you go. Just remember, there's adventure around every bend.
Oh, for sure.
You just got to get out there and create your own adventure at your leisure.
Thank you. What a wonderful day.
All right, Mark. Drive home safe.
Safe travels.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Thanks.